Welcome to a short version of Taking Liberties, a program of the Central Texas chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union. And today we have John Bush. And John is representing two organizations, and they are
Texans for Accountable Government and the newly formed Austin Privacy Alliance.
I see. And you have been telling me about your concern about the local police taking blood samples by force if necessary?
By force if necessary, yes.
And which of those two organizations is opposing that?
Both of them. Yeah. Texans for Accountable Government is a political action committee that we're in. We've helped with the Proposition 2 campaign to fight the domain subsidies before, but we recently formed the Austin Privacy Alliance to specifically go after the police chief's plan for the blood withdrawal, the DNA collecting for Class B misdemeanor suspects, the police surveillance cameras, DWI checkpoints also is another one, and the Fusion Center, which is the massive data gathering and disseminating apparatus.
And the Fusion Center seems fascinating and repellent. Tell us about the Fusion Center and why it concerns you.
Yeah. Well, what a Fusion Center is, it's basically the technology for the Fusion Center came out of a program called Total Information Awareness in 2002, which was under the DARPA agency, Defense Advanced Research Project Agency. And it created software. One of them was called Genoa and later Genoa 2, which had the ability to take in massive amounts of data and information, analyze this data, cross-reference it with complex algorithms that could potentially determine if you might be a threat, a terror threat, they say.
Now, when you say data, you mean on individuals?
On individuals, yes, on American citizens. Anything from tax records, credit card transactions, surveillance camera footage, the emails that you sent, the websites that you go to, your DNA, your fingerprint, your face picture from your Texas driver's license. They take all that data, also suspicious activity reports, which can be filled out on non-criminal behavior. Take all that data, mix it up, run it with their equations and algorithms, and find out if you may be to potentially be a threat. And there's over 60 of them in the United States. There's 3 of them here in Texas, one of them in Central Texas. It's called the Texas Intelligence Center or the Texas Fusion Center, and it's at the DPS headquarters up on 47th and Lamar. And that is one of my primary concerns personally, because I see a lot of this other stuff. For example, the DNA for Class B suspects and the blood withdrawal, they're not going to throw the blood away. The police surveillance cameras especially all fuses in and culminates with the Fusion Center, which is basically their ultimate goal is to have total information awareness, Big Brother type, Minority Report type society, which is no good.
And the idea is to find people who might be a threat?
Yes. Well, they say the idea is to gather intelligence on different crimes. Originally it was supposed to be for terrorism, but now they're taking an all crimes quote-unquote approach. And it's supposed to be to, a crime happens here in Dallas, like I was saying earlier. Say, for example, MS-13, the infamous Mexican gang, they're recruiting members in Dallas. There's an unsolved assault case where they have a picture of somebody. Now in San Antonio, a bank gets robbed. These people get apprehended, and they turn out to be the same people that happened in Dallas. Well, the idea of a Fusion Center and how they're selling it, and this is a noble cause and it does make sense, is to gather these different crime instances, and when crime happens, to tie it all in together and to have a central source that can not only collect data and analyze it, but disseminate it to the various different law agencies, all the way up to the Department of Homeland Security if necessary, if it has to do with terrorism, quote unquote. But also part of it is, yes, to track the potential for people to be a threat. Or the potential.
That sounds pretty bad, the potential for
Yes.
people to be a threat?
Yeah, and I have a direct quote from Chief Acevedo. This is the first time I heard about the Central Texas Fusion Center. He said, in the future we'll have the ability to predict crime. Whew.
Oh my goodness.
That's a direct quote, no exaggeration.
That brings me back to a program which tries to predict in kindergarten, which I think they tried to prove that disruptive behavior in kindergarten is a predictor of later criminal activity. Where does that take us?
I was very disruptive in kindergarten, and I don't break the law.
Well, look at you now.
Well, there you go. Look at me now. I'm somebody that should be that should put a flag alert up to the establishment, because I truly believe I am a threat to the establishment and the programs that they're trying to do. But it goes even deeper than that. They want to check you out when you're in kindergarten. They are now screening newborn babies with their DNA. And if you bring, the rabbit hole goes so deep. If you bring eugenics into the picture, which is the study of different family traits and different family lines, ultimately the goal is to create a master race, not very different from what Hitler was trying. They could even tag your DNA once you're born to see that you have a genetic flaw, or that now that they're keeping records on us forever, that your family had a history of crime, so you're already on alert from the get-go.
Oh, God. Inherited criminal tendencies.
That's right. And it's not, we're not even talking fiction here. This is a reality.
Have you heard of phrenology?
What is that, the study of your skull?
Yes.
Yes, I have. I've also heard if you have a skull that goes back to a point, then you're inherently evil. But yeah, this all fits into the same stuff, and it's not even, it's real. This is what's happening right now. It's scary.
And it goes after dissent. What about I've always learned, one, that power corrupts, and two, it's always good to question authority.
Definitely.
And three, the public should always be involved in decisions by the government.
Definitely.
And those three principles seem to have been thrown out the window
by
this program.
Yeah, those three principles are principles that are a threat to the establishment and to order and to the plan. Yes, I believe a large portion of the apparatus, this is why I'm going to be engaged in the fight against the Fusion Center and keeping an eye on the people that manage the Fusion Center, because in other states like Maryland, Colorado, Minneapolis, these Fusion Centers have been utilized to keep tracks and keep tabs and actually go out and arrest peaceful dissenters and activists and anti-war activists. And I'm going to ensure that doesn't happen here in Central Texas.
Well, the ACLU will monitor Fusion Centers with you.
Definitely. Rock and roll.
Thank you for coming.
Excellent.